Hello students, I hope you enjoyed learning about the different types of plant tissues in the previous video. If you ask a small child what's the difference between a plant and animal, the child will definitely say the animals move but the plants do not. That is an evidence that the organization of plants are simple compared to that of the animals. Animals are having complicated organ systems. So today we are going to learn about the different types of animal tissues in our body. What's a tissue? It's a group of cells which has the same structure performing the same function, isn't it? And this group of tissues are forming an organ, and many organs together form an organ system. We are made up of different kinds of organ systems. So, which are the different organ systems in our body? We have 11 organ systems: digestive, muscular, integumentary, lymphatic, endocrine, nervous system, circulatory, urinary, respiratory, reproductive system and skeletal system. So we have 11 organ systems, and each organ system is made up of different organs, and each organ is made up of different kinds of tissues. So we are going to learn the variety of tissues present in our body. Okay, if you take the example of the respiratory system, it's made up of the nasal cavity, the trachea, the bronchi, the bronchioles, alveoli, and of course the lungs. All these organs together is doing the efficient functioning of respiration. That is, the entire respiratory system is a complicated life process which is made possible because of the coordination of all these organs. And if you take care, if you just observe one organ, the organ itself is made up of different kinds of tissues. So now let us learn about the different types of animal tissues. Basically, the animal tissues in our body is divided into four. That is epithelial, muscular, connective and the nervous tissue. Okay, in this video we will be learning about epithelial and muscular tissue. Epithelial tissue we can compare it with the epidermis and the endodermis we learned in the plants. It forms a lining, it's a border, it forms a lining in different organs. So since we have so many organs in our body, based on the structure, based on the function of those organs, the structure will change for the epithelial cells. So we have different types of epithelial cells present in our body. That is squamous, cuboidal, columnar, stratified, glandular and so on. So let us learn about the epithelial tissues in detail now. Okay? Children, have you seen, you know what is it? It's called as a cubicle. Okay. Nowadays the offices have cubicles in them. See, this is called as a cubicle. If you consider this part, okay, it can be compared to the organ system. Each organ system is made up of different organs. So these cubicles can be compared to the organs, and this entire section is like an organ system. And if you observe, each one of them are doing their own functions, but they are separated. You can see the separations. These separations can be compared to the epithelial tissue. So each organ, if you see in our body, they have the border or they have the lining of epithelial tissues, and it keeps the different organs separate from each other. But they are not completely isolated. Transportation or transfer of materials can take place between them. Okay? So, we have different types of epithelial tissues depending upon the function and depending upon its location. Some of them may be very thin, some of them may be long column-like, some of them will be flat and so on. So the first type of epithelial tissue we'll be learning one by one. Epithelial tissue, it covers most of the organs and cavities in the body. If this is a cavity, you can see the border formed by the epithelial tissue, and it acts as a barrier for different body systems. And just as we saw the cubicles, it is separating the different organs. Then you can see how it is arranged. You see there's no intercellular spaces. So the epithelial tissues are tightly packed with a cementing material between them. Okay, cementing material between them. And they don't have any intercellular spaces here. Can you see that? Okay, then the next one, it regulates. What's its function? It is regulating the entry and exit of material into the organ and outside the organ. And if you see the different types of epithelial tissue, they have a common feature. All the types of epithelial tissues have a basement membrane. So this is a common properties or features of an epithelial tissue. Okay. See, if here you can see the different epithelial tissues in our body, and each one of them has a basement membrane. Okay, so see, some parts have this type structure of epithelium. In some other parts like trachea it is like this. In stomach it is like this. So different organs have different types of epithelial tissues. So first type is simple squamous. The second one is called cuboidal. Third is columnar, and the fourth is stratified. And you observe the different epithelial tissues. They all have this blue color represented. This is the basement membrane. That is a common thing found in all the epithelial tissues of our body. So the first one is the squamous epithelium. From the word you can understand squamous, like square like. They are, see, it is just like the floor tiles which are arranged or which are arranged in such a way that there is no intercellular spaces, and it is just like the floor tiles placed on the floor. So it's called squamous epithelium. Thin flat cells. Where are they found? What's the location? They're found in the esophagus, lining of the mouth, lining of the blood vessels, and lung alveoli. You see, this is a blood vessel, and can you see the blood vessel, the section of the blood vessel, the blue color here shown, it is the epithelial tissue. So it's forming a lining inside the blood vessel. Similarly, this is the esophagus, a section of the esophagus. The inner lining, this one, is the squamous epithelium. Okay. Similarly, the lung alveoli. The alveoli is responsible for efficient exchange of gases. So there also they have this thin flat cells called as the squamous epithelium. So remember the location, the blood vessels, the esophagus, the lung alveoli, the mouth all have squamous epithelium as the epithelial tissue. Okay. Now the second type is stratified squamous epithelium. That is a squamous epithelium. A special type of it is a stratified. You can see the skin here, and the skin is made up of many layers of squamous epithelium, many layers of squamous. The previous one we learned was a simple squamous, but when the squamous epithelium is arranged one above the other, and that is called as stratified, and it is only present in the skin. So it's a multi-layered simple squamous epithelial tissue. Example, skin. Can you see here how the diagram is? Okay. Why do you think, children, the skin should have a stratified squamous epithelium and not a simple squamous epithelium? Yeah, because it is in direct contact with the environment. The skin protects us from the environmental factors. So you cannot afford to have a stratified, you cannot afford to have a simple squamous epithelium in your skin. Okay. Now the third one or the second type is cuboidal epithelium. The first one was squamous, the special squamous was stratified, and the second one now we're learning is cuboidal. From the word cuboidal means they are cube-like cells. Can you see it's cube-like cells? And the nucleus here is centrally placed. Of course it has a basement membrane also. Okay, so cube-like cells with a cube-like cells and the nucleus is in the center. Now where is its location? Two main locations. One is the kidney tubules. What is a kidney tubule, children? See, when you see the kidney is having very tiny units called as nephron, which is responsible for the absorption of the excess water and minerals from the blood. So this is the section, or this is the diagram of the nephron. That is a tiny unit of kidney. You will be learning about it in detail in 10th standard. So here these tubules are responsible for that absorption or reabsorption and secretion of substances. So here you have the lining of cuboidal epithelium. Fine. So cuboidal epithelium is found in the lining of the kidney tubules, and the second one is duct of salivary glands. We have three pairs of salivary glands in our mouth. You can see the salivary glands here. So in the duct, this is the duct of the saliva. This is the salivary gland and this is the duct. Duct is a tube through which the saliva comes. So the duct is made up of cuboidal epithelium. So remember the two locations of cuboidal epithelium. That is the kidney tubules and duct of salivary glands. And how is its structure? Tube-like with centrally placed nucleus. Now coming to the next one. Columnar epithelium. From the word you can understand. Column-like cells and the nucleus is at the base. Of course it has a basement membrane here. So column-like cells with nucleus at the base is a columnar epithelium. Now see. And it is present in the places where absorption and secretion occurs. Can you guess where is the absorption occurring? Of course, it is the small intestine. Inner lining of the small intestine. See, this small intestine has inner lining where the absorption of the nutrients take place. So there you have the columnar epithelium. Now this is a simple columnar epithelium. Now if this columnar epithelium has cilia in them, it's called as ciliated columnar epithelium. It's a wonderful thing, na? See, this is a columnar epithelium, column-like cells, but the special structure in this hair-like structure called the cilia. So it's called as a ciliated columnar epithelium. Can you guess the location? It is present in the places where the gases are passing, that is in the respiratory tract. Okay, this columnar epithelium is present in the nasal cavity, trachea, bronchi and bronchioles, and it is helping in the easy movement of the air during inhalation and exhalation. And it is present in one more place in our body, that is in the females. In the female reproductive tract, you have the uterus and the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube has ovum waiting there. So the ovum, that fallopian tube also has the ciliated columnar epithelium. So the two locations are respiratory tract and the oviduct. Oviduct is also called the fallopian tube. Clear? So the simple columnar is different and ciliated is different. Simple columnar was present in the inner wall of the small intestine, and ciliated is present in the respiratory tract. See the two different systems. One is a digestive system and here it is a respiratory system. Now, the last one is the glandular epithelium. Where will be found? It will be found in the glands. What is a gland? Any organ which is secreting something is a gland. Saliva is a gland because it is secreting saliva. Liver is a gland because it is secreting bile juice. So, in such organs where secretion is occurring, it's gland. And they have a special epithelial tissue called the glandular tissue. Okay, so this you can see this is a glandular epithelium. It is folding, that is getting folded, and it helps in the secretion. The duct is actually made up of squamous epithelium, but here the epithelial tissue in the gland is the glandular epithelium. So you can see how it is getting secreted from the glandular epithelium. Okay. Now the second type of tissue is the muscle tissue or the muscular tissue. We need muscles in our body for the body movement of the body parts, isn't it? We have movements in the body parts. You can move your hands, okay? You can run, you can move your legs, you can move your shoulders, you can move your neck, different parts of the body, and these movements are visible to us. But there are movements inside your body also. During inhalation and exhalation, the lungs are inflating and becoming contracting. The heart is continuously beating. There is a type of movement called peristaltic movement, or the contraction and relaxation of the intestines or the alimentary canal. The entire alimentary canal contracts and relaxes. So these all movements, whether outside, whether it is visible or which is inside, all these movements are because of the muscular tissue. So now we are going to learn what are the different types of muscular tissues in our body. The three types of muscular tissues are, there are skeletal muscles, second is a cardiac muscle, third is a smooth muscle. Now if you see in all the three, when you learned about epithelial tissue, the common thing was it had a basement membrane. But in all the epithelial tissues, the common thing is they are made up of elongated cells. You can see they are made up of elongated cells, and they have special proteins called contractile proteins. The movement of the muscles is only because of the contractile proteins. You will learn that in detail in higher classes. It's called myosin and actin filaments. Okay, and because of these contractile proteins, that is actin and myosin, there is contraction, relaxation of the muscles. So remember the common feature, that is the contractile proteins. Clear? Now let us see one by one. The first one is the skeletal muscle. Okay, the skeletal muscle is also called as the voluntary or the striated muscle. Why is it called voluntary muscle, children? Because when I move my hand, it is on my control. I can control the movement of my hand. See, the movement of the hand can be controlled. And if you see, the muscles are attached to the bones here. So since it's attached to the bones, it's called the skeletal muscle. Why is it called voluntary muscle? Because it can be controlled by us. That's why it's called voluntary. Okay, even you see the legs, this is a bone. Okay, and the muscles are attached here. Clear? And that is, the muscles are helping in the movement of the bones. And if you observe the structure of one muscle, you know, the one muscle itself is made up of many muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is made up of the muscle cells. Okay, so if you look into the muscle cells in detail, the muscle cells will look like this. that is cylindrical. This is a shape is called cylindrical. And you can see these are the nuclei, many nuclei in one cell, multinucleate. And there are alternate dark and light bands. Can you see this? Alternate. These are the identifying features of skeletal muscle. You will be having this for practical to identify the different type of muscles under the microscope. So if you see striations like this, alternate dark and light bands, and many nuclei, and it is not having any branches, you see it's not branched. So that is a striated muscle or the skeletal muscle. So what the structure? Cylindrical, unbranched, multinucleate and alternate light and dark bands. Because of this presence of alternate dark and light bands, it's called as a striated muscle. And this is voluntary in nature. And where is it function? Where is it present? It is present in the attached to the bones and helps in the movement of the body. This is a picture shown, and this is the picture of the skeletal muscle seen under the microscope. You can see how it is arranged, cylindrical with light and dark bands, alternate light and dark bands. Okay. Now the second type, smooth muscle. Okay, I showed you that there are movements inside our body also, internal organs. So those internal organs have special muscles called the smooth muscles. Why are they called non-striated? Of course, no striations. You can see these are the cells. The smooth muscles which are attached to the internal organs, they don't have any alternate dark and light bands, no striations. So it's called as non-striated muscle. And why is it called visceral muscles? You've heard the word viscera. If you have observed the program where CID or crime branch and all, there they always talk about the visceral test and all. You have given the test, the viscera for testing. Viscera is the internal organs. So it's called visceral muscles because the muscles are attached to the internal organs. Okay, this is also there in your practicals to observe under the microscope. Under the microscope, you will be seeing it in this way. That is smooth muscles which don't have any striations and they are uninucleate, only one nucleus. And is it under your control? No, it's involuntary. So this structure, this smooth muscle structure, it's not cylindrical, it's called spindle shape. So what's the structure? Spindle shaped, uninucleate, no striations. What is its function? It's attached to the internal organs except heart, and it is involuntary in nature. Remember the structure, function and its location. Okay. In your exam, they may ask you the different internal organs and all, and these examples are given in your textbook. Smooth muscles are present in the iris of the eye. What is the iris? That black color is called as the iris. And when this iris will contract and relax, it will help in dilating and enlarging of that pupil. The pupil allows the light to enter, but that becomes less. It will dilate and relax based on the functioning of the smooth muscles. So the iris helps in the enlarging and the contracting. So here you have the smooth muscle. You have the smooth muscles in the intestine. You can see how the food is moving through the intestine. It's because of the special involuntary muscles called smooth muscles. Why it's called smooth? Because no striations. And what is the shape? Spindle shape. Another location, ureters. Kidney, after filtering the urine, it's passed to the urinary bladder through the ureters. The ureters are also having smooth muscles. It is allowing the urine to pass here. Similarly, the lungs, the bronchi. This is a bronchi, this is a trachea, and this is a bronchi. So you can see the bronchi also enlarge depending upon the air entering. So that is all because of the smooth muscles in it. So the internal organs all have smooth muscles except heart. Heart is also an internal organ, but it has special muscles that is called cardiac muscle. Okay. So the third one and the most important one we can say, which is very important for the sustenance of life, it's a cardiac muscle tissue which is present only in the heart. Cardiac word is related to heart. So there is a rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart, and this is made possible only because of the special tissue called as a cardiac muscle tissue. Okay, and when you just observe it under the microscope, it will be seen like this. Okay, and why is it looking? It is looking a little bit similar to the skeletal muscle, isn't it? Cylindrical in shape. But one difference is there. You can see the branches arising from it. Okay, so it is cylindrical but branched, and number of nuclei only one in one cell. It was multinucleate in the case of skeleton. and of course it also has alternate light and dark bands. So the similarity with the skeletal muscle, cylindrical and presence of striations. But that was voluntary and this is of course involuntary. Its movement is not under our control. Clear? So the function is attached to heart, helps in the rhythmic contraction relaxation. Of course it is involuntary. Clear? So you remember which are the muscles involuntary? Smooth and cardiac. Only skeletal muscles was voluntary. Okay? Now this difference, please children learn it very well, all these three muscles comparison. They can ask you similarities between any of them also. So if you see the structure of striated, cylindrical, unbranched, multinucleate. But smooth muscles are spindle shaped and uninucleate. Cardiac muscles you can see here, it is cylindrical, branched and uninucleate. And second point, they have alternate light and dark bands here. Here no alternate dark and light bands. Here they have alternate light and dark bands. This is voluntary in function, involuntary and involuntary. This is attached to the bones and helping in the movement, and whereas smooth muscles is attached to the internal organs, cardiac muscles are attached to the heart. So you have to remember this very well. You will be able to answer any question. Now let us time for review. Let us see whether you remember whatever we have learned. Identify the following types of tissues. Did you recognize what type of tissue it is? All are having basement membrane. It's epithelial tissue, but you have to recognize which it is. The first one, squamous epithelium, square-like cells, flat, thin cells. Okay. Second one, see, cube-like cells with nucleus at the, it is column-like cells with cilia. You can see the ciliated. So it's ciliated columnar epithelium. Now the third one, cuboidal epithelium. Fourth one, simple columnar. You see the difference? This is simple columnar and this is ciliated columnar. Clear? Now identify, these are all what type of tissues? Muscular tissues. Okay, what is the first one? Skeletal muscles. Why? Because it is unbranched cylindrical. That's the main identifying feature. If it is branched, it is cardiac. So it is, here it is unbranched with multinucleated. And the second one, of course, branched cylindrical is cardiac, present in the heart. And the third one is smooth muscles because it is spindle shaped. It's very easy to recognize in the microscope. These two sometimes you get confused. But this is comparatively, the shape is very different. Okay. So smooth muscles. Among this, which is involuntary, cardiac and smooth. So difference between skeletal and cardiac muscle tissue. If they ask you, skeletal muscles is cylindrical, unbranched, cardiac is cylindrical, branched. This multinucleate, whereas cardiac is uninucleate. Look at the picture here. This is voluntary, this is involuntary. This is attached to the bones. Skeletal muscles are attached to the bones, and cardiac is attached to the heart. So in the exam, they may give you only the picture and ask you why it is called up. Identify and give the reason. So remember all this. They may give you two pictures and tell you, they will ask you to give the justification why they are classified under skeletal and the other under cardiac. Remember the points. Okay. Similarly, they can ask you between skeletal and smooth muscles. There's a lot of differences there, isn't it? Cylindrical, but this is spindle shape. This is voluntary and this is involuntary. It is multinucleate and this is uninucleate. Attached to the skeleton and this is attached to the internal organs. I hope by now you might have by hearted with all the points, isn't it? So many times I've revised it for you. Okay. Identify the type of epithelial tissues present in the following location. This type questions also can come for the exam. They may give you the picture of the blood vessel. What type of epithelial tissue is present here? Remember, it is squamous epithelium. Second one, duct, salivary duct. It is cuboidal epithelium. So in the salivary duct it is cuboidal, but if they are asking you about the just a salivary gland, remember it is glandular epithelium. Okay. Third one, intestinal wall, intestine, wherever absorption occurs, it is columnar epithelium. Okay. Respiratory tract, throughout the respiratory tract, which is helpful for movement of the air, it is ciliated columnar epithelium. And the last one, skin. This is where the favorite question of the examiners. Skin is made up of, what is it? Stratified squamous epithelium. Okay. Name the tissue which help in the movement of the following organs. How are you able to move your leg? Because of the skeletal muscles. What is the reason for the movement of your internal organs? Smooth muscles. How is a rhythmic heartbeat occurring? Because of the cardiac muscles. Okay, now it's very clear to you. So that's all, children. I hope you enjoyed the session today. Thank you.